Hey everyone, this is David. I'm going to show you how to deal with zip code data, specifically United States zip code data in Excel. I have a column here, column A is full of zip codes. You can see it's a randomized sample of zip codes, and actually I've added this one down here. It's not a real zip code, to my knowledge at least. That has different character lengths. So you can see there's 5, there's 4, and down here there's 3. So what you'll notice is when you're working with zip codes, the northeast corner of the United States has a leading 0, and in Puerto Rico, it actually has the zip codes actually have 2 leading zeros. Lots of times what happens is when you find this information and you paste it into Excel, Excel sees numbers and just assumes that I don't need those leading zeros. I got numbers to deal with. So it says, okay, you want to do some sort of mathematical function with these numbers. In our case, we actually want it to look like or to assume the text data type in Excel. There's multiple ways to do this, and I'm going to show you a couple. So probably the easiest thing to do is to highlight this data and just tell it, hey, I want this to be a special number type. So let me step back there and show you what I did. I highlighted the numbers, and then you can go into this number section on the home section of the ribbon and click this little pop out, and it's going to give you this format cells menu. You can go to special, and then you can say, oh, this is zip codes, and then you can hit OK, and boom, you have all of your leading zeros back. And even though the under here, it's just basically a wrapper. It's just saying, oh, okay, if there's any digits that are less than 5, I'm going to go ahead and put a leading 0 in the front. Although I believe it still behaves. Yes, it still behaves as a number. So this is just kind of like a wrapper to visually show that there's leading zeros. For whatever reason, if that doesn't work for you, so I'm going to Control Z, oops, a couple of times and get rid of that. That's probably the easiest, and if you just want it to look okay, then that's a great way to do it. But if you actually have to interact with the data and you need this to be represented in a text field, there's a couple of ways you can do that. One of the ways I do this is, well, let me step back. I'll show you another pretty easy way to do that. You can, as I said before, it's recognizing these as numbers. So you can explicitly tell Excel that you want this to be a text data type. And the way you do that is you can highlight a cell or a group of cells. You can go up to the number section and you can tell it text. And now, if I try and write, let's rewrite A6, which is that 6340 with the leading 0. So 06340. Now, because this is being stored as a text, it's going to keep that leading 0. And Excel even gives you a little flag here and says, hey, this number is being stored as text. And you can just say, ignore this error, and then the little flag goes away. That can get repetitive, right? You can still go ahead and say, okay, I want all of these to be text. And then anything that you paste there, if it had the leading 0, should still keep it there. But if you copy this over, it's going to just keep the data type there, right? So I find highlighting and converting an entire cell to text, or a group of cells or something to text, that way it's not a great way to do it. The other way you can do it is, let me just Control Z, and there we go. The other way you can do it is using a text formula to force Excel to output a string or a text data type. And if you look at your formulas and you look at your text formulas here, you can see that these are all of the text, well, they're most of the text formulas, and a majority of these will actually output a text data type. Some of them, not all of them, but there's a couple in here. So we're going to take advantage of two of these text formulas. One is concatenation, and one is the right formula. So let's look at these in general. Let's do concatenation. So concatenation in Excel, concatenation just literally means putting things together. So in Excel, the formula for concatenation is CONCAT. And it takes, in the argument, it takes it takes at least one argument, but it can be many. So let's see, we can say something and nothing, right? And then if I pass those two arguments into the formula, it literally smushes them together into one string. Now, you can use this. Sometimes it's super handy to also put a space in between things. So very, very normal use case is to put a space between two words. In lots of data science and data analytics projects, you'll do that quite often. But we can also reference, what's great about Excel is you can also reference data. So you can actually say, okay, I want to concatenate the contents of A2 plus the word nothing. And you can do something like that. So that's how you concatenate a couple of strings or literals in this case, or data from cells. Now let's look at another function, and that's called the right function. We can also look at left. In this case, we need right, but left does the exact same thing. So let's say we have a word. Let's just keep on using something, right? Right will take the rightmost number of characters that you tell it to and display it. So in this case, let's reference the word something, and we can just reference it by putting C2, the cell reference. And then let's say I want the 5 most right characters of the word something. So I can put 5 as the second argument, and we get the cell result of thing. We can also do the same thing with the left, does the exact same thing as the right formula, but it just does it on the left side. So it's going to take let's reference cell C2 again, something, and let's take the left 5 most characters. Let's do 4. And then you can see, okay, well now it's going to take from the beginning of the character, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and return some. Now, the way we use these in combination to get a standardized zip code is this. Let's formatted zip code. Oops, if I could type. And what we're going to do, actually before we do that, concatenation is, concat, right, is the formula. You can actually also concatenate things in Excel with the ampersand. So if you wanted to put a literal, so let's say sum, and then the ampersand, and then the character thing, it does the exact same thing as if you were to say concat. Whoops, forgot to fat fingered it. Sum and thing. You can see that these two are, the result is the exact same thing. Something and something. Okay, so we're going to take advantage of that, and we're going to say we are going to take the right formula, And zip codes, if you're using the 5-digit format of zip codes, we always want the 5 digits, right? In Puerto Rico, we can have 2 leading zeros, and in the northeast corner, we can have 1 leading zero. So what we want to do is we want to join at least 2 zeros, because we could possibly have 2 leading zeros, with our zip code data, and we always want to return the 5 rightmost characters. And if we go ahead and hit OK, on zip codes that have 5 digits, we're returning the right 5 most digits. So it's already got 5 digits. So it's just going to return the zip code. But look what happens when I'm going to control D to go down. Look what happens when we have 4 digits. It's going to take one of these zeros and plus the 4 characters from the zip code, which equals 5, and it's going to return it as a string because, or sorry, as a text data type because we're using a text formula with write, and it's going to return the full zip code with the leading zero. So, and then if we go ahead and apply this down, we can look at our use case with 3 digits in our zip code. It's going to go ahead and say, okay, it's going to count how many characters are in the cell, and it's going to go 1, 2, 3, and then it's going to say, okay, well, I need 5, so I'm going to borrow the 2 leading zeros plus the 3 from A22 or A21 to give you all 5 characters. And that is one way to standardize your zip code data. I do want to show you something else that's really cool. It's not necessarily just formatting the zip code, but it's pretty cool. So if you go ahead and you paste this, and you'll see Excel says, whoa, hold on, you've got a lot of numbers being stored as text. In this case, it's fine, no worries. I wanted to show you something really cool with these new data types that that Excel has made in the last couple of years. If you highlight your zip code data and you click this geography, it's going to convert this to say, oh, I know this. This is a zip code. Now, in this case, C21, I don't know if that's actually a zip code or not. We'll find out. I just typed in 123 as an example. So I'm going to go geography, and you can see now that it's been formatted to this data type, there's a little map kind of thing here. If you click this map, it's going to show a card, and it's actually going to show you the city, this county, what state it's in, and a description of this data. And you might think, okay, that's cool. What use is that? Well, you can actually access this data. So let's say you have you just have a list of zip codes, and your boss says, hey, we need to see what states we're selling all these products into. Maybe this is a zip code of orders delivered, and for whatever reason, you don't have the state. You can actually reference this because it's geography, and Excel now knows it's smart enough to say, okay, this is a zip code. I can extract the state from that. And the way you do that is you reference the cell, so B2, you put a dot, and then you can say state. In this case, it's admin division 1, but it's smart enough to realize even state. You can hit enter, and California. And the cool thing is, this acts just like any other object in any other formula in Excel, and you can actually drag this down, and pretty soon, there you go. And it looks like my 123 is actually a zip code in Italy. Cool. So now you have all these, you have the state. Let's try something else. I don't know if this will work, but I know that this is a, let's see, this population doesn't work, but you can do that on the state. You can do population, and you can see, okay, awesome, that's the population. You can do, I don't know, let's see if GDP works. In California dot GDP. Let's see, gross rent. Okay, so there's lots of data here that you can look at. In fact, if you wanted to, you could go to this California, you can hit the little card, and it should show you lots of things that you can do. You can do area, the abbreviation. Oh, this is a great one to do, is, okay, I think I spelled that right. Sometimes when you're cleaning up data, state abbreviations are all over the place. Sometimes you have user forms where data comes in and it's user entered data, and Mississippi might be MI. Someone might think the abbreviation for Mississippi is MI because, frankly, that's easy to do, right? So you can actually go, okay, we're just going to overwrite this with our information from Excel here. So we can say C2 dot abbreviation, and let's see if this works for, it does. It also works for Italy. So yeah, this is using zip codes. I hope you found this super helpful. I know this is something I do a lot in my day-to-day work doing analytics. So I hope this helped. Talk to you later.